Episode 189 of the Witty and Gritty podcast. Today we are going to read, pray, talk, tell through Galatians 1 verse 10.
You know what's cool about Galatians?
Tell me.
When it's abbreviated, sometimes it looks like gal, and we're gal pals. And February's coming up, right? So it's like
not wrong,
Galentine's and Galatians look very similar.
Well, I would say the overall vibe of this letter isn't so lovey-dovey.
No, it's not, Brooke.
So Paul wrote a letter to the Galatians, lots of little churches in Galatia at the time.
Yeah.
And he's getting onto people.
Do you think they had the, wisdom back then that you write the angry letter but then burn it?
The do not send. I was thinking the same thing. But he's like, nope, I'm going to send it. These people need to know.
The truth hurts. What is that scripture you'd like to quote? Iron sharpens iron.
Yes, Proverbs 27:17, I think.
Got to hold each other accountable. And sometimes it hurts.
It's true. Iron is not a gentle material. Anyway, so we're going to read Galatians 1:10. Faren's going to read it in the ESV, and I'm going to read it in the NLT.
Yes.
And then we're going to talk about it.
Okay. So the ESV version is, "For I am now seeking the approval of man or of God, or am I trying to please man? If I were still trying to please man, I would not be a servant of Christ."
And in the NLT it says, "Obviously, I'm not trying to win the approval of people, but of God. If pleasing people were my goal, I would not be Christ's servant."
This really speaks to my nineness.
Oh, yes?
Yes.
Tell me.
People pleasing is the first thing that comes to mind.
Yes. Very good.
And we always encourage you guys to go back and read the context of the scripture. So again, at some point, we'd love for you to go through and read chapter 1 of Galatians on your own. But just to give you a little bit of insight as to where this verse is coming from, he is writing to the Galatians because there's this unrest or uncertainty, kind of this gray area.
Contradictory, kind of.
Yeah, so these people have been practicing the law, which, to put it simply, is the Judaic law, which I guess isn't
the
so simple.
The Mosaic law, back from the day where if there's mold on your clothes, you got to do this, this, and this.
Yes, started with the 10 Commandments. That didn't work, so they said, we need more rules.
Rules to help us follow the rules.
And so then we got more rules, and they said, people are still being terrible. How about more rules? And so long story short, Jesus came because no matter how many rules people were given, we continued to mess it up and sin. And we're still sinners today, but thank you for Jesus. Anywho, so people were in the habit of following the law in order to achieve salvation. And so this idea of flipping that script and placing your faith in Jesus Christ and, of course, God the Father in order to attain salvation was a whole new way of thinking.
Right. So for reading this week, we want you to read chapter 1. We also both listen to the daily audio Bible, so feel free to go listen to that. You can actually pick when Galatians is if you want to read it out loud. So daily audio Bible is a great way to do that, and maybe once a week we'll give a different resource. So that's the only one we're giving you right now. Yes. So use it or find another one.
So in this verse, when he's talking about, am I seeking the approval of man or of God, he is coming there not to tell you what's going to make you love him. He's trying to tell you the truth because, pleasing God is going to be speaking his truth and the gospel and speaking about his son, Jesus Christ. Mm-hmm. And so while that might upset many people, Paul's not here to please you. So are you catching up on this tone that we're putting down for you guys?
I'm not here to make you happy, guys.
Yep. Don't you want to keep reading?
I'm here to speak some truth to you.
Absolutely.
Yes. So, Faren, you had a good pray question you could ask, you could talk with God about. Hit us with it.
Yes. So as a 9 and a people pleaser, sometimes that creates inner turmoil. Mm-hmm. I say or concede things in light of just keeping others happy, avoiding confrontation. And so maybe during your prayer time, you need to stop and ask God if you are truly pleasing him with the way you're living your life or others. And it could be, 0 for pleasing God and 10 for pleasing others, or it could be the other way around, or you might be kind of in the middle, right? Sometimes you please God, sometimes you please others. So just finding out where you are on that continuum would be great. And then if you find yourself pleasing others more than God, you could also ask him to work on your heart a bit.
That's the great part, Faren, because if you know you're struggling with it, or if you're back to the grit mini series, it's you're unconsciously incompetent at something, like you don't realize you're constantly people pleasing or trying to do that versus what you know is right. It's nice to be able to get that called out of you and then to pray over that. Please help me fix it. And that's what he's here for too.
Yeah, and you might even have the heart to do the right thing, and you might even have that pause in a moment where you know, crud, I'm just going to make this choice because it's more comfortable. So, anyone else feel me out there? So I've even prayed for just like confidence.
That's
just
great.
Stand up and, say or do whatever I need to be doing, but also just for peace. In those uncomfortable moments. So almost getting comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Right.
So those are specific things. So depending on if you don't know where you really are and you need to do some self-reflection on that continuum of pleasing God or pleasing others, find out where you are first. Then check your heart. Is it, for your own gain that you're pleasing others? Is it avoiding confrontation? So first step, you want to make sure that your heart posture really is for God. And then maybe you're there. Maybe you're like, check that box too, Faren. I do have a heart after God, and I know those exact situations. It just happened the other day, and I'm even predicting it's happening tomorrow when I meet with so-and-so.
Now you have a plan.
Then pray for what you need. Bravery, confidence, wisdom to deliver the words in such a way that you'll be heard. And then, being comfortable.
It's also okay.
Being uncomfortable.
Yes, to pray for the recipient of this information.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Because sometimes this is great. We're going right into the talk section too. So let's say, Faren, you and I are having a conflict, or I'm feeling upset about something. My feelings got hurt. I don't know. I'm feeling my feelings. It's my job to talk to Faren. That's part of that confession piece too. I know I struggled a little bit last year with just missing you. I know that sounds weird, but just getting that called out of me, like I can see where this is sinful, and I need to talk to Faren about making sure that she knows my heart and I know her heart, and that she can help keep me in check. And she can even, you did a good job of also like, hey, this is what's going on. Here's some other things that are going on, without being too specific, but I just wanted you to know. And that helped me too. So even if you don't know how to have the conversation, just start by having the conversation. And that's where that prayer comes too, because you can pray for, I don't even know what to say. I don't even know how she's going to take it. We already have the agreement. We're in this for life. So we know we're going to work through it. It's just a matter of how, when, and can we do it biblically.
And I think another idea is to go talk and have coffee with someone maybe you admire for their boldness.
Yeah.
Because some people are bold and you might not admire the way they go about it.
Yes, the delivery.
Yes, or realistically you're like, I don't see that in the cards for me, but hey, this person really models what I think I could be capable of.
Yeah.
2 of my kids are bold. And I'm walking this fine line of not wanting to smother that flame, but, just harness the
So
power.
the delivery's good.
Yes.
That goes right into the tell piece, Faren. Good job.
Yes.
Tell us more about how you're teaching your kids about this.
Well, I don't really know if I'm doing a great job.
That's okay. We all got to start somewhere.
One thing I'm letting them know is I see what they're trying to communicate. I make sure with them, is this what you're trying to say?
Yeah.
And then I point out to them, well, because you said it this way,
Here's the interpretation.
this is how I heard it the first time. But I stopped, and as your mom, I know your heart, I know what you meant, and I saw what you saw.
Yeah.
But if I only heard what you said,
Yep.
I
My
would
delivery's
not
not
have
very
taken
good.
I would not have taken it that way. And it's especially helpful when they're having a disagreement with one another, because they're getting so mad that the other just can't see or hear from their perspective, maybe. And so when we rephrase things, the other one immediately is already apologizing because I said it the way the other one was trying to convey. Anywho, not perfect all the time, but that's one thing that I am trying to do.
Yeah, I love that tactic, to where you come in and you say, this is what I'm saying, and then the recipient can say, what I heard you saying and what I feel you're saying is this. Is that what you're saying? So, Faren, you're doing a good job of modeling that, so that way whenever they start talking to each other, like, okay, I hear you saying this, but is that what you meant? No. Okay, let's work through it. Something that or what, were you going to add anything else to that part?
Well, what I was going to say too about talking to someone who you admire, like, wow, they're really bold and confident, and I could aspire to be that, is as a presenter for my current job back in the day when I was just being pulled into presenting. Thank you for the nudges, former colleague. But I just remember thinking like, well, they're so confident. They got it all together, and I don't have that. But in talking to them, before they presented and after presenting, like, they were crapping their pants before
Right.
too. And, you know, like most things, we don't want to hear it, but it comes with practice.
Yep.
And it does get easier, but even the most seasoned presenters were like, I still get butterflies in my stomach before I present.
That's back to that deliberate practice.
Yeah.
Read miniseries. Very
So
good.
chances are, if you sit down and have coffee with somebody that you admire, one, they're going to be so flattered. So of course they're going to want to share their great ideas with you. But I think you might be surprised to know that they're not going to be like, dummy, you fill in the blank. But they're probably going to be more relatable than you might think.
Yes. So one of the things I had with Tell and like teaching our kids, so the way the verse is phrased in the NLT, he's got some sass. Obviously, I'm not trying to win the approval of people, but of God. And that makes me think of that phrase where it's, what is popular isn't always right, and what is right isn't always popular. And that's a good thing to teach your kids too, because they're going to approach seasons of hard friendships, or they're being peer pressured to do something, and you've got to let them know, like, you have to do the right thing, even if that means it's not the cool thing to do.
Yeah, there's been some instances with my oldest that's currently in 5th grade, and where she's sitting there watching these kids that are just loud,
Yeah.
saying their opinions, and everyone kind of just going along with it, and realizing like, well, that's not true. Like, why didn't anyone say anything? And I'm like, yeah, even you. No,
Yeah.
because she's more like me, a little more quiet and reserved. But she's starting to see that now. And so I think, you know, as much as we can encourage not them to put them in a super uncomfortable position or a point where they're, you know, going to get into a verbal altercation, or bullying is such a real thing, but just letting them know that, yeah, that happens even as adults. And just because they're the ones that are the loudest doesn't mean, and no one responds, doesn't technically mean that everyone agrees, but it sure can look that way.
Yeah, and that's also that being bold and stepping up and being like, this is wrong, I'm not doing it. And you can say that too. Ooh, there was a time I had to do that at work recently. And I said, I am not doing this thing.
Yeah.
I don't agree with it on any level. And then, yep.
You know, I think some people...
Were there consequences? Yes.
I don't know if this will resonate with anyone out there, but it resonates with myself. So, self, if you
counts.
are listening to this later, this is for you. It's not too late to circle back to a conversation.
Absolutely.
There are so many times that later, especially at night, you lay down and you're replaying an incident and you're like, I should have said this. I don't think it's too late to come back to it. And for some of our more hot-tempered friends...
Who do you mean?
I don't know. That might be a good strategy.
Is it me?
No, it wasn't directed at you. But if you find help, there
As
you
you
go.
look at me and gesture towards me.
There's only 2 of us in the room.
Jesus. You flip tables, okay?
Point is, maybe taking a beat isn't such a bad idea.
Yeah.
But also, if you're like, I lost my opportunity, I also don't think that's true. Just think how much more calm, collected, and confident you'll be to circle back to it. Also, the person receiving it...
Pray for it before you circle back.
Yeah. But then the person receiving it might also not be in the throes of the conversation.
Yeah, heat of the moment.
The heat of the moment.
Very good. Okay, well, that was Read, Pray, Talk, and Tell through Galatians 1, verse 10. Come back next week and we'll hit you with another one. Remember your homework, read chapter 1.
Yeah, get it, guys. Bye.